on this show for the past week or two, we've been trying to think through, well, what should healthcare look like? If you could do anything, what would you do? In that spirit, we've invited Reihan Salam on tonight. He's executive editor at National Review and a columnist at Slate. He said it's time for Republicans to consider a daring new strategy, looking at some kind of single-payer healthcare system. Reihan Salam joins us tonight. Reihan, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So I just want to make absolutely clear that not only are you conservative in good standing, but you have been for all the time I've been reading you avidly, which is a long time.
It's true.
And so you're one of the very few people whose views on this I would take seriously, because I know you're not grinding some ideological axe. Tell us why you think this might be, from a conservative perspective, a better solution than where we're going.
Well, it's very simple. We in America do not have a free market healthcare system. We have a complete jumble, a kludgy mess of, at a bare minimum, 4, maybe even 5 different healthcare systems. Every single one of them is underwritten by government. Every single one of them is wildly expensive and wasteful. So the question is, if you are a conservative, you want to move in a more sensible, market-oriented, rational direction, you need to acknowledge that you have to have a backstop. You have to have a safety net. One way or another, people who have serious chronic illnesses, people who are going to go bankrupt from their medical bills, government is going to step in. Now, the question is government going to step in a sane, sensible way that makes sense and that saves taxpayers money? Or is government going to step in a crazy way that just winds up making huge amounts of money for hospitals and other rich folks who are gaming the system?
Right, and insurance companies. So the main fear, at least speaking for myself, my main fear about any kind of single-payer system would be the massive increase in government authority, power over my life that would represent.
Oh, and you should be concerned about that. That's a totally legitimate fear. But the thing is that single payer does not necessarily refer to one system. It's a very broad rubric under which you could fit lots of different kinds of systems. And the system that I think makes sense is what you might call a catastrophic single payer system. That means that if you are spending all of your income on the health bills of your daughter who has a serious disability, right? Or if you are someone who has a chronic illness, which means that, you have, maybe you have HIV, maybe you have some other autoimmune disease, maybe you have cancer, right? You are not going to be able to make sensible decisions about your health care. And the thing is that fear is the hugest political killer for Republicans, because Republicans have some decent ideas for making the healthcare system better. But the thing is that Americans of both political parties, Americans in the broad middle, they do not trust that Republicans are willing to put the lives of ordinary Americans ahead of concerns that are very narrow fiscal concerns about how much taxes rich people are going to pay. And you need to convey simply that we are going to secure people's health care no matter what, and then we're going to make a more cost-effective, sensible system for everyone. That's,
of course, what the president ran on.
Exactly.
In this last campaign, which is something that Congress seems to have forgotten. Really quickly, can you think, I think Americans look at Canada, look at Great Britain, and are afraid of what they see there. How much of the GDP that eats up, the constriction of choices. Is there any country around the world that has a system we ought to emulate?
I think that we're going to have to create a made-in-America system. Britain has a system that is completely socialized, soup to nuts. It is run by the state. Canada has a system that's actually a lot stingier than people think. It covers hospitalization. It covers, when you're visiting a physician, but it doesn't actually mostly cover drugs and a bunch of other benefits that we in America take for granted. So we're going to have to create a system for this country that makes sense and that guarantees that safety net, but that also might have more space for individuals to make their own decisions. Those things are compatible, and we could do it. But we have to stop being so ideologically terrified of thinking outside of the box of the system, the various reforms we've been talking about for the last 7 years.
Yeah, whatever we're working has not worked.
Exactly.
So I'm glad you're being open-minded. We're trying to. Reihan, thanks a lot.
Thank you.